and welcome to Wolfcast, episode 25.
Still high pitched voice.
You know what? I like my high-pitched voice. You can just shut the hell up. Hey, it's consistency, okay? It's, hello. It's not, it's like, hello, welcome to Wolfcast. I guess another episode.
Well, today we do have something special going on. I sound far away because I am far away.
Yes.
We actually have some guests with us today.
We do have some guests with us today. We have got, let me pull this up here. I've got Sergeant Esquibel. I even pronounced it wrong. Wow, I'm sorry. Sergeant Esquibel, and I have Sergeant First Class Lloyd with us, as well as Tiller. And so, if you guys want to say hi, introduce yourselves.
Okay, hello. I'm Sergeant Esquibel. I'm retired military, Army. Hooah. Kenny.
I'm Sergeant Lloyd, retired military police.
And Tiller.
And I'm Tyler. Just a recruit of the Army. Was 19 kilo, or at least attempted to be 19 kilo tanker.
You're also a very much tank enthusiast, aren't you, Tyler?
Of course. Let me go over the history of tanks real quick.
Hey, I've played War Thunder with Tyler for a hot minute now, and every time I have a question about a tank, he's like, "Yeah, here's the make, model, the year, the type of ammunition it took. You can take about 3 shots to the front, and then you're dead." Like, okay, thanks.
You're just shooting this little cranny right here, this little crack.
You see that crack that's the size of a flea? Yeah, put your bullet there. Okay.
Well, if you couldn't guess today's topic, it is in the military. My family has had multiple people in the military. I know Fang's stepdad was Marine.
Yep.
Alpha, did you have anybody on your side that was in the military at all?
Not really, but one of my good friends was.
Mhm.
He was
Yeah.
a Marine.
He was a Marine. He was a damn good one until that stupid crap
Yeah.
that I won't say on stream because it's his own personal business. But
But military's been around for centuries, and it's what has protected kings and presidents and the world all over. So I figured a podcast about the military and talking about it, and giving thanks to those that have risked their lives and given their lives protecting our great nation. So
this also goes out to pretty much all military, not just the U.S. military. There are several great militaries out there.
mhm.
All of them pretty much fighting for what they believe is right. But
So yeah, so we got the nerdy portion of our podcast like we normally do.
script time.
So what is the military? As an adjective, the military is relating to or characteristics of soldiers or armed forces. As a noun, the military is the armed forces of a country. So a military, also known as collectively as armed forces, is a heavily armed, highly organized force primarily intended for warfare. It is typically authorized and maintained by a sovereign state. Shut up. I'm tongue-tied today. With its members identifiable by their distinct military uniform. Military branch is, according to common standard, a subdivision of national armed forces of a sovereign nation or state. And there's actually 6 total branches of military, 13 if you count their offshoots. So you've got your Air Force and your Air Force Reserve.
Wait, I see one that doesn't matter.
Shut up. You got your Air National
Force.
Guard. You've got Army and Army Reserve, your Army National Guard. You've got Coast Guard and Coast Guard Reserve. You've got your Marine Corps Reserve, your Navy and
Hang on,
Navy
here it comes.
Reserve,
So
and the
what is it?
Space Force.
There it is.
Like, I understand it, but all I can think of when you say Space Force is Warhammer.
Oh, absolutely.
The
Brother, get the flamer.
Yeah.
The heavy flamer.
They're so in Warhammer, they're basically a militant
They're Space
force.
Marines.
Yeah, they're Space Marines.
That's
They're a
literally what
militant
they're
Space
called.
Force, and they're just very hoo-ah to fight, yeah. And
No.
every time I hear Space Force, I think of Warhammer.
No, the Cadians, the good old, the humans in regular armor, the bog standard trooper, Cadians, Karskin,
All I can think
Kriegers,
of is
that sort that.
what is it? Blood for the Blood God, Skull for the Skull Throne.
Yeah.
No, those are just regular soldiers. Those aren't chaos.
Paint red, go faster.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so continue.
So who is in charge of the 6 military branches? You have the President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief, who is responsible for all final decisions. The Secretary of Department of Defense, or the DoD, has control over the military and each branch, except the Coast Guard, which is under the Department of Homeland Security, which I didn't know. That was pretty nifty to know that it was a different offshoot.
So wait, does that mean the Department of Defense has no say over what the Coast Guard does?
No, the Homeland Security has say over Coast Guard because
Right.
of Homeland, because they're the whole homeland, so,
So,
that
like,
would be ocean and
I guess what I'm
everything.
getting at here, and you guys who probably know more about this than I do can correct me. If the Department of Defense says, "Hey, Coast Guard, go do this," the Coast Guard can tell them to just fuck off, right?
No, they
No?
they can't.
So,
But they don't control the Coast Guard.
well, they probably do control the Coast Guard, but not like, hey, lackey, go. But I think it's more they have more say over what the Coast Guard does because the Coast Guard has to, cover the entire United States area. So with the Coast Guard, they would have to answer to the Homeland Security instead of the basic inland, because in inland, like, there's no oceans inside.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess. I just like the idea of the Department of Defense walking up to some guy who's in the Coast Guard, like, "Hey, you, go over there," and him just giving him the middle finger. Somewhere else. I just like the idea of that.
Ryan's just like, we're some goofy fuckers, eh?
No, those are Mounties, and that is a different form
Hey,
of...
Mounties are fierce, though. Like, the Canadian Mounties, like,
Yeah, they can get off their moose and kiss my ass.
Hey, mooses are terrifying. Like, oh my God. We had a teacher in my chemistry class in, I don't know, it was junior year?
Don't look at me.
I'm trying to think.
I was
you know
like
how long
10.
since I've been out of school? Don't even answer the question. Don't even just shush.
Okay.
But he told a story about a friend of his that was in Canada. I had to correct myself saying Canada because I love saying Canada. That lived in Canada and driving a Geo Metro. And you know how tiny those cars are, right? He's driving down the highway, middle of the night, hears a thump thump on his roof. Goes, what the hell is that? He got out of his car. It was a moose. He had driven underneath of a moose.
Wow.
Like,
Alright, continue with your portion so we can get on.
with more than 2 million civilians and military employees, the DoD is the world's largest company. So
They're considered a company?
yeah, company. I mean, they do make money.
I
You know,
guess,
you do
yeah.
have your war profiteers. I mean, it's highly frowned upon, but
Yeah.
so before I go on, so I'll ask you guys a couple of questions and get your thoughts and ideas and just basically tell us some things about your experience and some fond memories you have, or just fun things like
memories.
that. There are some fun memories. Like, didn't you tell me there was a memory your dad had about the time you saw a sock party go on?
No, that was
No.
that was a moment he had to control himself. He hated that.
Yeah.
So my dad heard a blanket party happen. For those who don't know, they basically take the blankets of the guy probably on the top bunk, maybe the bottom bunk. I don't know. I didn't get that much detail. And they hold him down under the blankets while other recruits have socks filled with soap. I'm assuming it's soap. I hope it's soap and not anything else. And they beat him mercilessly. And my dad heard one of those happen. And that story ended by him telling me that he had to restrain himself from getting out of his bunk.
It's like a good point of reference if you've ever seen Full Metal Jacket. Like,
That's what I'm talking
that's
about.
when Sir Pyle, right?
Gilbert Pyle.
Yeah, he gets beat with the socks. Like, I have mad respect for your Vietnam vets because they literally got screwed. And they are the most abused, and I say hated, not like hated as in, oh, we hate them, blah, blah, blah. But they were the most hated and abused because of the fact that we were in a war that we had no business being in. And
Well, that's how a lot of people saw it.
yeah,
And you also had the bad apples of that war who enjoyed killing even civilians.
yeah.
So that kind of gave the soldiers coming back a bad rap, is people were hearing about these soldiers killing civvies, and
Yeah.
they were like, oh, all the soldiers are doing that. No, it's just a couple of assholes with an M60.
Right. So yeah, Full Metal Jacket's one of those good movies to watch that's, yeah, I still get goosebumps thinking about it. But who wants to go first? Esquibel or Lloyd or Tyler?
Fond memories of boot camp.
Fond memories of boot camp.
I can go first if you like.
Okay.
Okay, go for it.
There's Sergeant Esquibel. I was 22 when I decided to go into the military. Female, it's kind of a weird thing to be wanting to go in the military. I just didn't have nothing to do. There was no jobs, no nothing for women back in my day. I'm kind of, let's see, MTV wasn't even made, how old I am. It was not even thought of, or the internet, or any of that fun stuff. So there really wasn't much to do. Walked by the recruiter's office that's in Greenwood, Indiana, and said, hey, this would be cool. I've watched the shows, what was that one with Goldie Hawn with when she joined the army? That was kind of in my
Isn't that
private what?
Jane?
Private Benjamin.
Yeah.
Private Benjamin. So that ages myself right there. So I said, okay, my father was Air Force, I'll try Air Force. So I walked in there, took the test. They said, okay, you blew it out of the water. You're going to be a stewardess on a plane. And I'm like, excuse me? No. I walked next door, was Army. I walked in there, took the test, blew it out of the water. I said, what would you like to be? You're in. I'm like, cool. I'm going to work on trucks because I build hot rods, race, drag race, all that fun stuff since I was 14. So I said, great, I will join. I joined the dotted line, went home and told my mother, and she about had a conniption. She's very British. So I got chewed out very politely. If you ever know a British mother, as Celia knows, how they talk and tell you politely you're an idiot.
They insult you with kindness.
Yeah, we
Yes.
insult you with kindness.
Yeah.
Yes, insult with kindness. So, yep, I joined and it was like, okay, here we go. I'm only 5'3" on a good day, buck 15. And yeah, and they put this big, huge duffel bag on your back with all your gear and told us to jump out of a deuce and a half.
And so what is a deuce and a half?
Deuce and a half is almost like a dump truck.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
so cattle
Was it
truck, the cattle
moving?
truck.
So I guess you could say you have a deuce and a half, huh, honey?
But was it
No,
moving when they made you jump
No.
out? No.
No, I'm lucky. No, they stopped it and just told us all to get out now. And it's like, there's about 20 of us in this cattle truck. So it's like, and I'm like, how the hell am I going to get out of this thing? So that was hysterical. And then being a British daughter and a Air Force father, I laughed at everything because, their drill sergeants are yelling at you, screaming at you, hurry up, do this, 20 million commands at one time. And I'm sitting there just laughing. I've got the big old grin because this is nothing to me. And
It's like, have you met my mother and my father?
I've been here, done this already.
Oh yeah, the quarter on the bed, it's got when you make your bed, it's got to bounce a quarter on it or everything's thrown outside and start all over. Seriously. And so they would keep putting me in this position that's called the dying cockroach. You're on your back with your gear on, with your hands and legs up in the air, and wiggle them like you're a dying cockroach. And I'd just be sitting there giggling still. I'll stand back up, wipe my face off, and just sit there trying not to giggle. It was funny. I had fun.
Yeah, I bet your drill sergeant was like, that's good. Or at the time, it would have been, what, Stone, right?
Stone. It would have been
like,
Stone. I was in trouble so many times because I just kept laughing. It was they literally make you throw up. I'm doing stuff until you throw up. I'd throw up, stand back up, and still giggle. And I'm like, okay, what's next?
I don't know if this was so much of a thing back in the day. But like I worked with a guy, and he was, in my opinion, the biggest form of a douchebag. Like, he was rude, he was disrespectful to pretty much anybody. And he had walked in one day, he's like, yeah, I'm going to join the army, and if that drill instructor gets in my face, I'm going to punch him.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, so I'm wondering, even back then, did you have people like that who thought it was a good idea to punch your drill instructors?
Well, since I was with women aren't that aggressive, and the ones we weren't that aggressive. But it did happen next door to us. There would be knockdown, drag out fights between the drills,
Oof.
but they'd whip him in shape though.
Oh yeah, I told the guy, I was like, you have that mentality now, but I'm telling you right now, you're gonna hit that drill instructor once.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Better make sure he stays down for the count. 'Cause if not, you're done.
Hit and then run
Yeah.
because you're not getting far.
No, they're very well in shape too. The drill sergeants
Oh,
are
yeah.
usually real good shape. They've already been through combat. They've already been through everything and anything. So they're pretty squared away, and you don't want to mess with them.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
A funny story about drill instructors. So back to the subject of Full Metal Jacket.
That actor wasn't actually an actor.
Yeah, that actor wasn't actually an actor. He was an actual for real drill sergeant, but they liked how well they
They had
liked.
brought him on set to train the person who was supposed to be acting that scene, to train him on how to be a drill instructor. And the way he was doing it, the way he was teaching this guy to be a drill instructor, they went, you want to just be the drill instructor of the movie?
And thus started his acting career.
And pretty much every scene that he's in, I believe, was all ad lib. It was all just him going through his motions as a drill instructor.
Right, and he was for real 100% an actual true drill sergeant. So it's great that his career, like he was typecast, but he didn't care because he was good at what he did.
Yep.
So
And you see how he hit that brim of that hat into their foreheads.
mhm.
They keep those brims sharp,
Oof.
and they will headbutt you with that hat, and you pretty much have indentations in your forehead. There's a
Mhm.
purpose for it.
Yep, make sure you
All
listen.
right. Anybody
Mhm.
else got a fun story from drill? Because I'm sorry, that didn't sound fun to me at all.
I mean,
Go ahead, sorry.
I don't have many fun. Well, I don't have many stories from boot camp because I wasn't in for long enough. The only stories I have are the stupid things recruits did to try and get out.
Mm.
Anybody try to hop the fence?
No, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Everyone kept eating Tide Pods.
What?
Oh God, I hope you're kidding.
No, that was one of the safety briefs we had with my drill sergeants. They walked up and went. They did their safety brief of everything you would think of in the military, and then all of a sudden they go, "And please, for God's sake, don't eat the fucking the fucking Tide Pods."
Jesus.
'Cause that had to be said, apparently.
Apparently.
Is it true that you'll have people in the army who shoot themselves in the foot so they can go home?
Yes.
Yeah, they went out. Or it's like if you've ever seen in the army now with Polly Shore and all them, he's like, "Man, your glasses look awesome. Yeah, you're the only person that has them," and everybody walks by wearing the same exact pair of glasses.
But people do dumb stuff. I mean, because they're not always the most intelligent people that get recruited. So they do a lot of stuff. You're going, really? You did that? Really? I mean, really dumb stuff, especially when you're in with weapons. One of mine we're doing grenades.
Oh God.
And we do our practice dummy ones, and then they give us the live one. And they say, okay, take your stance, pull the pin, throw the grenade. That way. That way. We had a chick that dropped it in front of her.
Oh God.
Jeez.
It's run.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then whatever their name is.
What would that have been? Would have been an M82 fragmentation, or do I have that wrong?
62.
62.
I think.
So even then fragmentation grenades, they're not meant to kill you on explosion.
I mean,
No.
They're not. It's not the explosion that kills you from a shrapnel grenade. It's the shrapnel.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So even if you drop it and run, pray you're far enough away or you're behind something when it finally does go kaboom, because that shrapnel will shred you.
Yeah, that's why they have the walls around you, and there's a door. There's an opening where you go behind. So if something goes wrong, you move quickly behind the concrete barrier.
Oh, you had a concrete barrier?
Yes.
Did you
Oh,
not?
My guys had nothing but a dirt pile and wooden logs.
I mean,
Wow.
The
Trial
pray
by
doesn't
fire.
go through.
Yeah. Trial by fire.
Well, we were at Fort Dix, so it's not like a very, very large post.
Oh,
It's only done for some training. So, and plus with the females, we're only sent to a very few posts that we get our training at.
I got a funny story that I've never been in the military. I got military punishments from my Marine stepfather, and they weren't fun, but I have no prior military experience. I know a little bit about vehicles. I know a little bit about firearms. And there was one day here recently, it was a couple months ago, where I work is a couple miles out of Camp Atterbury. So I went to lunch, grabbed my food, and I'm coming back. And above my work building is a freaking AC-130 circling. And I'm like, am I about to eat a 105? Are they loading the 105 millimeter and my building's about to just be gone? Because he was at that left angle down and he was circling the area. It turned out there was a parachute exercise going on in a field nearby. But it was still just a funny moment that ran through my head. Was I just see this gunship essentially above my head.
I know here, my dad would take me to the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, or the one that we have here. I asked him what it was, and I forgot, but they would do really awesome like air shows. They would have the Blue Angels there, and they would also do demonstrations of planes dropping their ammo. I love the B-17, the B-24 bomber. Like, I love those ones. Those are my favorite. Like, the Enola Gay is my absolute favorite. Well, the Enola Gay is my favorite one. Like, there's also, they even do like a short story about it, and I love it. But they did a simulation where they actually dropped a row of their actual bombs.
They weren't live, right?
No, they were live.
They dropped live ordnance.
Yeah, live. So, but we were far back enough away, but they still dropped it. We could feel the heat from how far away we were. Like, I still get chills from it. Look, chills.
Yeah.
But I loved it so much. Like the old cars and your airplanes. Like, that's the one thing I've always been grateful for. Is I love
I'd like
planes.
to see an A-10.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to just hear the A-10. I don't want to see it necessarily because if I'm seeing it, I'm probably in the way.
See, the thing about the A-10 is that if you hear its gun go off, you're safe. If you don't hear anything, you're already dead. Once it actually fires.
It's just that.
Did you have any stories or for us, Sergeant Lloyd? I'm sorry, First Sergeant Lloyd.
That's fine. You're good. I have to say, the reason I joined the Army was to get away from a woman.
I mean, that's a way to do it,
right?
Yeah, I had to get away from her. If I hadn't stayed around her, I'd probably be in jail today.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So, and then my thing when I went to the recruiting office, but a recruiter, I played basketball with him, so I talked to him one day, and he said, "Well, just go take the test, see what happens." Took the test. I was up there, and I wanted to be a firefighter. They had firefighters at the time in 1980. So then I went up there, got the job, and I said, "Well, what's as soon as I can leave?" They said, "Well, firefighter, you'll leave in maybe 2 to 3 months." I said, "No, that's not soon enough. What else you got?" And so then he said, "You got military police." I said, "I'll take that," and I left in 2 days.
Yes. Now, aren't the military police a lot more fierce than your normal police? Because I know
they go through. I know they go through your standard military training, so they go through regular boot camp, like with all the other recruits, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, we have our boot camp just like everybody else does, and then we just go through our police training. Gotcha. We go through that too, and it was at Fort McClellan, Alabama, and there. So went there, and I have to say my instance, and let's see, one in basic training that was kind of funny was I was running. I was coming from the mess hall. I was running. My drill sergeant stops me and said, "You need to go see the commander." I said, "Okay," the company commander. So I said, "Okay, sir." And he goes, "I'm not a sir. Give me 10 push-ups." I said, "Oh, God." So I'm doing the push-ups. I get up. I salute him. He goes, "You don't salute me. You go to parade rest." So I had to do 10 more push-ups, and I just took off running. So I just took off running, and all these drill sergeants kept stopping me, asking me what I was doing, and I kept calling them sir or whatever instead of sergeant. And so I kept doing push-ups, and I went in to see the company commander, which was a female, and I said, "Yes, sir." Private Lloyd reports, "Man, I'm not a sir. Go outside and give me 10.
So you had to do
go.
a lot of push-ups then.
Yes, I did a lot of push-ups. So that was my one of my funny moments. And another, I would say, a couple other funny moments was when they when you're low crawling, they're shooting above you, and they tell you to keep down before you won't get killed, you won't get shot, and then you look up and you see how high that 60 is, and then you're like, wait a minute, they wouldn't really kill us. And so it's kind of funny looking at that and stuff like that. And then when all your friends go through the NBC chamber and you see their snot coming out their nose when they come out, we are laughing and stuff.
Now,
'Cause
what
we had theater.
is the
Go ahead.
NBC chamber?
That's when they put like the tear gas in, and you
all
you
the
put
ga-
you have your gas mask on, you make sure it works, and you go in there, and then if it works in there, you stay in there as long as you can, and then they tell you to take it off anyhow. They tell you to pull it off and say your name, your rank, and your your social security number, and they keep you in there. And then you see everybody come out with snot coming out their face and stuff like that.
I remember my
So
Uncle John telling me a story about that, how they did that. He's like, it
Yeah.
sucked.
yeah, because you just go in there and you're like, oh my god, this is crazy. So
See,
that's like some of the moments I had at the beginning.
the one good thing about that gas chamber is that the shots they give you nowadays, the shots hit you like a wall of bricks.
Oof.
And everybody looks forward to that gas chamber because the guys who already went through, the recruits that already went through, and they're helping you go through processing. They go like, "Hey man, once you get to that gas chamber, you're gonna be a-okay." And everybody who goes into that gas chamber, it sucks at first, but when they come out, they no longer have any of the symptoms from their shots.
Nice. Yeah, because you're worried about
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you remember about adapting to your military lives?
Habits you had to change.
Like habits or just new habits you had to learn?
You have to shower with everybody. The first time you get into your barracks and it's get you up at dark 30 and it's shower time and you're in there with everybody else buck naked. There's no modesty. It's
I'm
like,
assuming you can't opt out of that.
oh
No.
God, no.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
It's a very shocking thing that you lose all individuality. You are just cattle.
I guess
That's
it's a
how
way
I-
of reprogramming you to, instead of thinking of me, you think of, as a we, we're in this together. We are like, so you have to lose that modesty. So you're not sitting there thinking of, oh, what about this? It's already trained out of your brain to not think about that. So you can keep going on and not slow down for anything. Am I right for assuming that?
Correct.
Haha, see, I'm
mean,
smart.
You are smart.
What is a better way to get close to somebody than seeing everybody naked, eh?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You have
It's like-
nothing to hide anymore. It's
My-
all out there in the open.
My dad always told me, because I was threatened with not only military school, but like being forced into the military whenever I did something bad. Because I wasn't the worst of kids, but I
You weren't the
definitely
best
apparently
of
wasn't
kids.
the best of kids.
You're a
And-
pain in my ass.
You're a pain in his ass too, so it's both ways here, Alpha.
But no, so I'd be threatened with that, and I was like, at first, I was like, oh, it ain't gonna be that bad. He's like, they will break you down and build you up. You won't be the same anymore.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I think
That
that's
is
what,
correct.
I think my mom would talk him out of actually sending me to such places because she didn't want me to necessarily change how I was. She just wanted me to stop being bad.
Makes you think of the Jerry Springer or the Maury episodes where they have the drill sergeant. And then that one kid goes, "Yeah, can you be my dad?" And he's just like, He
Yeah.
was completely caught off guard.
Yeah, it is rips away your individuality and program you to follow directions with no other thought than to do what you're told and how to do it.
Yeah.
It's to keep everybody to move in the same motion at the same time so you don't get killed. And that's the purpose of basic training, is that you work as a unit, as one, because all it takes is one wrong ripple and people are going to be dead.
So I'm assuming based off of that, if they find somebody who they just can't break, if they find somebody who refuses to still follow exactly, they just cut
Send him to the
right?
Marines.
They just cut them,
What-
don't they?
It depends. Like for my time, anybody like that would end up they keep recycling him or her
Mhm.
until eventually they just said fuck it and chucked them out, but usually that'd be at least 15 times, or well, that'd be 3 times actually. I think it used to be 15.
Yeah, they don't want, because they've already invested money into you, so they don't want to take a cut from that. So they know they're going to eventually break you, get you to work how they want. And even if you, like one of the girls broke her hip,
Oof.
all they did was repair her and send her back in.
Wouldn't it also,
Oh.
though, be good? So if you have a soldier in boot camp who is hard to break, wouldn't that also mean that if he ever becomes a POW, he would be hard to break?
Depends.
I would see it more as it has a higher possibility for him to go AWOL or turn on his own comrades.
I mean, yeah.
So I see that as, yes, it's great to be strong-willed, but if you are flat out refusing to do as you're told,
If
you're
you're
going to
being
end up...
disobedient for the sake of being disobedient,
Yeah,
yes,
like
I see
you.
that. I am not.
You are too.
I will follow my dad to the ends of the world.
Yeah, anyone else, you can like, fuck off.
I'd follow Alpha to the ends of the world.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's your brother. What do you expect? What about me?
Thanks, man.
Oh, thanks. I want a divorce. I'm done with you.
You gonna pay for it?
No, you are.
It's another rumor that I heard a lot of, and you guys can confirm or deny this. It would be either you're too smart or you have too many psychological problems to join the military.
At times, yeah.
Does any of that ring a bell? Like, if you are showing sociopathic tendencies, they might be more likely to tell you to go away.
They're sending to the Marines.
Yeah.
They'll send you to the Marines.
Because they call those the devil dogs, right? Isn't
Demon
that
dogs.
Yeah, the demon dogs.
Oh, no, it's the devil
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah, because they're the ones that go in there and get shit done. Like, they don't, no names, no whatever. It's just in, dead, out.
Funny enough, so Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I
Mhm.
play a lot of video games. That's where a lot of my bullshit knowledge comes from.
No.
But I don't remember in the campaign story. There's a moment where the Marines and the Army are teaming up together, and they got an Abrams shooting down the front of a hospital building for some reason. But you're with. So before I go on with this, is it Demon Dog or Devil Dog?
Devil.
Devil Dog. So in the Modern Warfare campaign story, you're with a group of Marines, and they're like, "Demon Dogs, saddle up and go," or whatever the heck it is they say. And apparently, the reason why they're called Demon Dogs in the game is they're not allowed to use the term Devil Dog.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it would be disrespectful.
Yeah, I found that interesting. It's like, that's not right, but it's close, I guess. The idea is still there,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't directly copy that.
Yeah.
But they can copy everything else. Almost everything else.
And so a bit more on some knowledge about your military and stuff like that. So your first organized warfare began around 3000 BCE.
You're telling me cavemen weren't organizing?
Differently. Maybe
Can you
organizing
just
on a
imagine a bunch of half-naked men with clubs charging at each other
hoorah, hoorah, hoorah.
all over like a campfire or something?
I could see it.
Dragging him by the hair.
Yeah, like it's
Ooga booga first battalion. Ooga booga second battalion. I can see it. By about 2550 BCE, the Sargon of Agada, or either Agade, I'm not sure which, the first great conqueror of the Sumerian cities of Mesopotamia, is generally believed to have formed the first standing permanent army of some 100,000 soldiers.
didn't last long, did they?
You know, the oldest military in the world, which is basically the oldest active military still in operation. You've got the 1248 King's Own Immemorial 1st Infantry Regiment in Madrid, Spain. You've got started in 1479 the 1st Infantry Regiment in Cerebral, France. 1485 you've got the Yeomen of Guard in St. James Place. What? Yemen. Sorry, in St. James Place, London, England. 1506 the Papal Swiss Guard at the Vatican City. So those are your oldest current.
So if I break into the Vatican, I have to deal with that guard?
They have their own police. They're pretty much their own nation.
They're their own nation. They're technically separate from everything else.
Yeah.
But I have to deal with their entire army if you break into the Vatican?
I mean,
Probably. But
think of what's hidden there. So
yeah, but still.
Your 9 strongest armies of all time across history is your Neo-Assyrians, the
Never heard of them.
what?
Never heard of them.
Nor have I. That's why it's something new. I need to do some more studying.
Apparently.
The Achaemenid Empire, the Spartan city-state.
Spartans.
Yeah, Spartan. The Murrian army, the Romans, the Mongols, the British Empire. Wow. Soviet. Right? My poor husband gets assaulted with British stuff all the time.
Give me back my potatoes, bitch.
Hey, you know what? The Irish starved because they're like, oh, we don't have any potatoes. We're going to starve.
It
When they had
wasn't-
cows, fish, chicken,
It was the
sheep.
It was the principle of the matter.
That's what, you know what? That's what we stole Scotland's rock. Okay? Because you're all
Oh boy,
stupid.
a whole rock. I don't care.
There was a war over that.
I
rock.
I actually got a funny war thing going on that's still going on to this day that I'll talk about after this.
The Soviet ground forces at the end of World War II, the armed forces of the United States of America. That's your 9 strongest.
Yep.
Hoorah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the Canadian Air Force currently the strongest Air Force?
This is just
Not-
No,
armies.
I know, but like we have the strongest armed collective forces because
Not-
nobody's gonna fuck with us. But I thought I heard somewhere that that Canadian armed or Air Force was like extremely advanced.
I mean, we have enough friends in Canada that we can ask them.
Canadian.
I love
Uh,
Canada.
I mean, I've done enough research into the recent years into Russia to say that they are definitely equivalent to us at this point, if not a little bit. They're militarily, they have a larger military force, but they can't deploy it like we can, just because their ships are not designed to deploy like we do.
well,
They
that,
ships
I
are
think,
drop an
defensive fleet.
entire tank on their coastline.
Right.
Like,
and I think if Russia did do that, it would be seen as an act of war. I think right now with how
oh
things
yeah,
have been.
if they decided for some strange reason to hop on their boats and come over here and just start deploying, like I think the easiest route would be to California because otherwise they got to cut through the UK and whatnot.
Mhm.
So if they were to drop on California right now, they would be immediately annihilated by everybody. Not only us. Like, I'm pretty sure our allies would step up as well and be like, hey, you're not doing this. We're not starting this. Go.
Not in my
Get.
backyard.
And it's another thing, like, people are afraid of, well, what are we going to do if the big red button is pushed somewhere else? Like, then we push our own big red button.
That or get ready for, Fallout.
Yeah?
Hey, I got the bottle caps.
Right, we
Yeah,
played
yeah,
enough
the bottle
Fallout to know
cap.
how this story goes. Right now, your 5 most powerful armies in the world are Japan, India.
Japan?
Yeah, Japan.
Japan, yeah.
Huge. Yeah, huge.
Such a small
Um,
island.
It's an island, but it has a huge force.
I'm not going to.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
don't even. No, leave it. India.
Third sun drop.
I'm done with this. They still have the burned
I
shadows.
know. I want to see it. I want
Like-
to see the shadows in
Mhm.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
I just want it because it's just, I got chills from it. It's like not to go like, haha, you lost, but just
No,
to
just
see
to see
that.
that.
Just to see that.
The guy who created the nuke realized it was his worst thing ever.
The China, Russia, and the U.S.
So
And
those are your
then-
4 strongest.
There are 5.
5 strongest.
Yeah, so Japan, India, China, Russia, and the U.S.
India, really?
I mean, yeah.
I guess, yeah. I think it was. I want to say no. Where's real biblical place?
Vatican.
No, like
Mecca.
stories in the Bible take place
Jerusalem?
here. Jerusalem. There's rumor. This is just shit that I've heard. It could be false, but it's rumored that Jerusalem has a defense system called the Hand of God.
I mean,
And what this is, and it's rumored because like apparently Anonymous helped with it. The group Anonymous, they helped create it, and it's apparently a defense system that whenever a missile of nuclear proportions is fired at Jerusalem, it immediately hacks the missile
oh
and
yeah,
sends it into the ocean.
I heard about that. Yeah,
I don't know if it's true or not.
cool though.
It's either the Hand of God or the Shield of God, and it's like the idea that there's a system that could possibly exist. It's like you fire a missile, it's traveling hundreds of miles an hour. It hits this wall, this essentially electromagnetic wall, is immediately hacked, reprogrammed, and sent off into the ocean.
I mean, if every place was like that, it'd save a lot of third world countries right now that are just
Well,
being...
we don't know anything about it. It's all rumor, and Anonymous isn't going to come out and tell anybody about it because, well,
Right.
they're anonymous.
Well, that and they're a splintered group at this point. Nobody can agree who's in charge anymore.
Didn't they get bought out? Wasn't there rumors that some members of Anonymous got bought out by the U.S. Higher ups?
Not too sure.
I have no idea. So, for your for when you guys were deployed, where, if you did, where did you serve during a war, if there was currently one going on at the time that you were enlisted?
Well, Kenny has a lot of, since he's been in the longest. Go ahead, Kenny.
Well, I was deployed to Bosnia, and when I was over there, we had one moment like the Russians had one side and we had the other side with the UN I Force, and some houses exploded on the Russian side because the Russians didn't care over there. They did let them do whatever they wanted to do. The Serbs and the Muslims that were fighting each other. So we went over there to the Russian side, and I spent a week with the Russians. And after spending a week with the Russians, I said, we do not need to worry about them. They gave me all kind of stuff for a box of MRE. I had MREs in the back of our Humvees. I got one of those big Russians hat for some
Nice.
MREs. I got all kind of stuff, and they were eating like goat meat and rice. And I'm like, are we worried about these guys?
Right.
So
Them MREs are rough though. Like my Uncle John would give us,
Don't eat the gum.
would give me one, and like those are
Yes.
rough.
Don't chew
Yes.
the gum. That's the only thing I remember about MREs is don't chew the gum.
I actually want to try them.
Trying the food is fine, but the gum is a
Yeah.
laxative.
I think the one that I used to get with my soldiers were the potato Legrand. And I said, if you can eat 4 packs a day, I'll give you a 4-day pass. And they said no. They weren't even going to try it.
I remember my first experience with an MRE back in the rougher time of my life. I had to go to not food banks. What were they? You're going to them.
Oh, food pantries.
Yeah, food pantries. I went to a food pantry. I filled out the application to get the food and whatnot. They gave me 2 chicken something MREs.
We've got 2 in there.
We've got MREs.
Yeah.
They're not
team?
MREs, but they're they're basically equivalent of where it's rice, like basic rice.
Is it in a little brown bag?
They got chicken and rice MREs and a couple other chicken ones.
The
Chicken
Nutra,
noodles.
whatever it is.
Is there somewhere around here that we can get them and try them?
You
Surplus
can-
stores.
Yeah, surplus stores.
Or yeah,
Yeah, usually they have them. If you don't know nobody that's in the military, you can still get some. But other than that, the surplus stores.
yeah. There's a surplus store, I think, on 31 in Southport, if it's still open.
Yeah, I think it's still open.
Mhm.
But isn't it just add water and then did you have to like
But-
rehydrate the food?
No.
No, it's you can open it up and eat it, but they also had heating packs, so you can put them in the heating packs to warm them up, and you put water in there.
Yeah.
And so what we used to do with the heating packs too, we used to just pour that crystal stuff into like Mountain Dew bottles or Coke bottles and stuff like that, the plastic bottles, and put water in and throw them because they would explode.
Yeah.
It's the Works bomb. It's literally the Works toilet bowl bomb. You ever do that?
No,
You've never done that?
no, because I'm a girl and I choose life.
You want to know the ingredients for it?
What?
It's a federal offense if you make one now.
Yeah.
It is considered chemical warfare if you make one now.
Well,
but
yeah.
when I was in high school, we made them. I ain't going to say
course.
where we made them. I guess I could say where we made them. It doesn't really matter. So all it is, you take a water bottle.
Don't tell people how to make this.
Everybody knows how to make this.
Yes,
The
but there might be
news
some newer
told-
The
generation.
news told people how to make this.
The news
Yeah.
told them
Oh,
like
okay.
2, 3, no, 4 months ago.
Yeah, it's literally, you take a water bottle, you put a little bit of the Works toilet bowl cleaner in it, and then you roll up some small balls of aluminum foil,
Yeah.
you drop it into the bottle, put the cap on, shake it, throw it, run.
Yeah.
Or you could just have what I have. I have the actual legitimate anarchist cookbook.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I
No,
do.
you don't. Shut up.
Oh.
I could tell you how to make various chemicals, but I'm pretty sure I'd be arrested for that.
Yeah, it's, the anarchist cookbook was taken off the market for a reason.
Well, my Uncle John gave it to me.
Well,
so-
okay.
It's in a box upstairs along with my book of kitchen witchery, which was still funny. It's like, This is how you're so good at cooking.
Okay, so there was a moment where I was going through our closet upstairs for something. I was looking for something, don't remember what. And I just went through this box, and I find a book called
Kitchen Witchery.
Kitchen Witchery, and it's a book about making good food and
Wine and stuff like that.
and all that fun shit. My wife is an amazing cook. Everything she makes is delicious.
True.
And I just threw my hand around the corner, book in hand, and go, "This is why you're so good at cooking." And then I threw it back into the closet.
Funny. So when you were deployed overseas, how did you tell your loved ones or your family about you being deployed? Like, were they concerned? Were they worried? Was it like, write to me every day, or I swear to God, I'll disown you? How did that go with your families?
Well, I think when you first go over there, I mean, you let everybody know where you're going, and they just write you when they can, or you get a chance to call them when you can and stuff like that. When you go overseas or you get the deployment and stuff. It just depends on, how your family is and how you want to deal with them, letting them know what was going on and everything.
I heard a story from my Uncle John about how this guy's girlfriend would write to him. She would spray it with perfume and address it to General, blah, 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 whatever his name.
Mhm.
Instead of like corporal or sergeant or lieutenant, it was general. And so when mail call came, he got razzed so bad.
Was he not general?
No, he's probably a sergeant.
Oh.
And but his girlfriend or wife addressed it as general. So
I
you can
feel like-
imagine the amount of hazing he got.
I almost feel like that could be punishment worthy.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Isn't
just feed them and stuff.
Isn't there a punishment for impersonating a higher rank?
If you're caught impersonating really like in the uniform and having people address you that way, if you're in the military, yeah, you can get in a lot of trouble. If you're a civilian doing it, I don't think they really do anything.
They
Yeah.
probably
The
just
only
make
thing-
the hazing, probably.
No, not even. Well, yeah. I mean, the worst nowadays I've seen is to be called out on YouTube by well, I can't say his name here because that's accidentally providing advertisement for the guy.
Mhm.
Right.
But one of them specifically goes after various videos to look on. They call it stolen valor.
Mm,
Gotcha.
that makes sense.
There's a lot of people that do that, and we run
Mhm.
into it quite a bit, and we're bust them in the uniforms because they don't have the unit patches on correctly, they don't have the uniform correctly, or you ask them what their MOS is. It depends on each military has a different way of saying what's your job.
Yep.
And MOS is, if you say you're in the Army and you're a 63 Bravo, I know what you are. But if they say something that's wrong, we're like, no,
No.
Yeah.
no.
A lot of
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, a lot of the folks I've seen doing stolen valor are often homeless or don't really have any sort of honor. It's usually people in BDUs. Some people get the uniform completely correct, even have the haircut down to exactly where they need it to be, but did not do any research on the actual units or anything.
Mm.
Mhm.
So they get questioned, and then they're like,
Yeah.
Mhm. Like, where did you serve? What post were you at? Because a lot of us know if you're saying you're Army, we know where our posts are. We
Mhm.
know what units are at what posts. You run into that, Kenny?
What?
People stolen value, pretending they're
Oh,
military.
that or everybody's a sniper. Everybody was in the military sniper. I'm like, what?
What?
You know.
I love I watch, like I said, I have no military experience. I know nothing. I know next to nothing. What I know has been taught to me through either Tyler or my dad, and that's assuming I was paying attention. But there was, I don't remember the YouTube channel. I don't remember the channel, but they bring experts in and they evaluate movie scenes or TV scenes to tell you how
Mhm.
real it is. And they brought in a ex-army sniper. And there was a scene where in the movie the guy was shooting at somebody with a Barrett 50 cal from like 300 yards out. And the guy went, "You would not be using the Barrett 50 cal for that mission.
Mhm.
And then he had his actual sniper with him that he used, or a gun as close similar as you can get. And he's like, this is what I use. And it's a little Remington bolt action sniper rifle. The guy, I don't remember his name. He was nicknamed the Reaper. I want to say he had 60 some odd confirmed kills or something like that. I don't remember everything about it, but he would poke fun at the movies. They're like, you need to be using a Barrett 50 cal for every sniper mission. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, I had a guy once that told me that he carried a Mark 19 on his back with his full load capacity. I said, no, you can't do that. He goes, yes, I did. I said, no, you cannot do that. It takes 2 people to carry a Mark 19.
I am not
It's a
familiar
big
with
weapon.
Mark 19. What is?
See, no, was he carrying a Mark 19 with the tripod?
yeah. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the Mark 19. What is the Mark 19?
Oh God. It's
So
it's like a
Let me pull the picture.
Like, is it anti-tank? Is it
Yes,
it's the
personnel?
GPMG.
Oh, okay. No, it's a PKM. No, you did not carry that on your back.
yes. If you see the picture, you're like, no, there's no way you could carry that on your back. And he said he had
way in
the
absolute hell
yeah.
you carried that on your back. You might
yeah.
have carried the drum.
But not the not that.
None of those are
No,
anti-tank
you're
rounds.
not
if I ever
carrying
saw-
them.
Those are practically grenade rounds.
Yes.
Holy
Yeah.
hell.
So while you were in the military, was there anything that you missed in your civilian life pre-military?
Peace and quiet.
A full night's sleep.
I don't know.
Hell, I
I
don't
would
even
say
get that.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, no. I would say no. Because I met a lot of good friends in the military, and we had fun, and I enjoyed it. The 20 years I was in, I had a good time. But everywhere you go, sometimes there's some things you don't like, but you get around that.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Were there ever moments that you thought you messed up? Like, did you ever sit there and go, why the hell did I do this?
Oh. Yeah. I would say when I first had basic training, because I remember that's the first time I shot a pistol, a weapon, and I was at the 40 range, and when I shot that, I dropped the weapon, everybody yelling at me and everything like that. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? So that was for me. But after that, after I started got settled down, I enjoyed it.
Are you still in contact with any of the friends from your military, or did that just kind of separate over time?
Yes, come to think of it, because you have a part of this. When I went to your wedding,
Mhm.
I made a surprise visit to my first sergeant in Kentucky.
Oh.
So we were at your wedding. I said, so we got a hold of his wife on Facebook, and we snuck down there and surprised him that we were going to go down there. Most of the people I am with, I know it's because of Facebook, because we reconnected. And I had one friend of mine that we were always good friends, and he used to write my mother to find out where I was at to keep in contact. So we always kept in contact. And he's in Indiana, Michigan City.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, most people I know on Facebook that I still connect with, every time I go back east or somewhere, I try to connect with them and meet them.
That's really
But
cool.
yes, because of your wedding was the first time I got to see my first sergeant since 1980.
Well, I'm glad I could have helped with that. It makes me really happy knowing I did that.
So thank Fang for
Yeah.
Yeah, thank Fang for marrying me finally.
What about you, Tiller, or
Esquibel.
Esquibel? I don't know why I can't remember.
I'm still in best friends with you don't make really good female friends in the military, because either they're not people you want to associate because their only thing is to looking for is a husband, or they're just messed up.
Did you ever know somebody who maybe got deployed and picked up a husband while deployed?
No, but they end up getting married to people that are in their units. Yeah, so they get deployed together, then they come back, and you're like, they've got a baby, they're pregnant, they've got married. You're like, oh, hey. So yeah, have you run into that Kenny married out of When they met somebody deployed and got married?
I had one soldier. She made sure she got pregnant before she couldn't get deployed.
Oh no. I mean,
That's a way to do it, I guess. But
Yeah.
so
But no, I'm still best friends with
Okay.
Tao. You got to meet my best friend Tao. We met in crossing at Fort Bragg, and we've been best friends since then, and we are still best friends.
oh,
what about you, Tyler?
Well, I've only got 2 contacts from BCT, and they were both guys that were being chaptered out. One of them because
What is chaptered out?
essentially the various branches of the U.S. the U.S. Armed Forces, they'll give you a certain code of why are you getting out of the military, on your DD-214, which is your little paper that says, hey, you were in the military, by the way, this is what you got out, the reason for it. And you'll either get out on an honorable discharge, just a standard discharge, neutral discharge, or you get a dishonorable discharge. Most people get a neutral or honorable discharge.
We got a friend who got a dishonorable discharge for off-site medications.
yeah.
Oh,
he
geez,
he had gone to the dentist offsite and just came back with medication, but they saw it as a big no. So
Yep.
he was like, "Man, this really sucks," because he liked being in there. But
There probably was
Talking
other
about-
circumstances.
I was gonna say, if we're talking about who I'm talking about, then he had mixed emotions.
But for the story we were given was he went off-site, had a tooth pulled. The off-site dentist gave him hydrocodone, and they found hydrocodone in the system as well in his footlocker. And because he got it off-site, that is why he was DD'd.
Mm.
That was the story we were given.
yeah, we didn't want to push any further just because
Right.
out of respect.
Go ahead, Tyler. Finish.
Well, one of the one contact I have is he was just mentally not cut out for the military. I don't know how he got in, but he got in. He was one of the few guys who got chaptered out with the rest of us that, didn't quite make it. He got a lot farther than us, but somehow he was a lot worse mentally because he'd have constant panic attacks where he'd be scratching out his neck on both sides every time he get a little bit anxious, he starts scratching, and as the drill sergeant came and started yelling at people, he started to scratch more and more, and it got to a point to where he'd be bleeding.
Oh goodness.
He's got the skin condition that I do. So if I exert myself in any way, if I get frustrated, embarrassed, or that's about it. Those are the 3 reasons. I break out in these hives, and it's painful. It's a painful itch. You just sit there and you claw at yourself.
I don't know if it was quite that. He'd claw no matter what, as long
Oh.
as he was anxious.
Gotcha.
The other guy who tried to stay in contact with me, and we still have each other's phone numbers, but I somewhat didn't want to keep in contact with. We nicknamed him, what was it? Sub-Zero, because he got sick with not only did he get sick with something, we don't know what. It might have been COVID during the time, because that was 2019-ish, so that was maybe right at the cusp, a few months before COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
It was also he somehow got pink eye from the other recruits. So he was my top bunk, and he was an all right guy. He was a fur like you guys, so that's the only reason
like
we
you
really
guys, like
stayed.
you're not one.
Yeah. That's the only reason we somewhat got along. Other than that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue on.
Let's see.
Where are we at on time?
We're still pretty good. We're at what are we at? We're at 59.
59.
So was there anything or anyone that helped you during your transition from leaving the military back into civilian life?
Any issues? You hear horror stories all the time about veterans coming back and they can't adapt, or people don't accept them. Did you guys have experience any of that yourselves or see it?
I would say no right now because when I retired, I'm here by Fort Carson, so there's still a lot of military around there. I haven't seen much of that at all. Nobody giving me a hard time or anything like that, or had a hard problem switching over. Because once I retired, I guess since I retired and then I'm still in kind of law enforcement, it's kind of almost the same as the military in a way, you know.
Mhm.
So
Was it easy to get into civilian law enforcement after getting out of the military?
yes, and I think what a lot of people misunderstand, they think that you have to be a military police to go into law enforcement, and it's really as long as you have any kind of military experience, they like that. Because I know I was a recruiter in California, and I used to go to the high schools, and there used to be a highway patrol guy from California there, and he always used to tell everybody, say, you don't have to be like him, a military police. We just want your military experience because of what you learn and how you conduct yourself, and that's what they're looking for. So I haven't had any problems. And a lot of my friends went into doing that too. At first, when I retired, I wanted to become a teacher, a history teacher, but that just didn't work out. So I stayed in law enforcement.
It's too much stuff in history.
There's a
But I
lot of
love it
history.
though.
I remember, and Alpha might remember this as well. In high school, the recruiters would come through. They'd set up in the cafeteria, and they would always have this pull-up contest.
Oh yeah.
I got in trouble.
What'd you
sounds
do
like
to
the
get in
Marines.
trouble?
I was a stupid kid. I don't know if I should say it.
Aren't you still a stupid kid?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I was in football, so I had like I tried to take like all the weights and conditioning classes. So I had a weight class, and then I had like a nutrition class. Well, both of those classes decided to work out with the Marines and the National Guards. And I was in much better shape than I was now, or am now. And we went and worked out with the Marines, and I was like, okay, that was difficult, you know, but it was fun. And then we went and did like some obstacle courses with the National Guards, and I was just like, and I like looked over at my friend, and I was like, you know, compared to the Marines, this was really easy. Like I just felt like we didn't do much here with the National Guards. And they were like, one of them overheard, told my coach. My coach pulled me aside and was like, so you think this is all fun and games, you know, I'll have to deal with you later on at practice. And practice was not fun.
I remember seeing something. It was either in my high school or it was after the fact, but somebody had gone to that pull-up contest thing that they set up in the cafeteria, and they did like so well. They were trying to pull him off of the pull-up. Like he just kept going. He wasn't stopping. And it took 2 Marines to pull him off of the thing because his grip was so good.
Metal Gear.
I actually have a question that kind of
ahead.
revolves around that. And I don't mean any disrespect, and you guys don't have to answer it because I don't know if it's like a trick or something, but like, did they get like any like special treatment or like bonuses or something, like if they actually recruit somebody? Because I've had probably about 5 or 6 people throughout my life, plus high school, that have tried to recruit me.
Penny, that'd be, you're a recruiter.
What was the question?
Do you get a
So-
special bonus or anything if you get these guys to come in?
No, you just have a number of every month of what you had quota you have to put in, and then that's what you try to do. There's really nothing. There's no extra money or anything like that. It's just that they just want you to do that. And if you don't put somebody in, you're the worst thing in the world. When you do put somebody in, you're the greatest thing in the world. That's the thing about recruiting.
So I guess that answered my next question. It was going to be, what happens if you don't meet that quota? Is it yearly or monthly quota?
It's a monthly quota. Let me tell you, when I first got in recruiting, the first guy I put in, he came up, we had our little meeting. Everybody's looking at you, what kind of badge you wearing, the recruiter badge. And the guy put in, the first time, like, oh, he just got here. He put this guy in the army. He's going to be great. So 2 days later, they found out the guy come up positive for marijuana. So then I'm the worst thing in recruiting because I didn't check everything. So that happened. So then when I had to go get my wife that was at Fort Bragg at the time, she was pregnant. I couldn't put nobody in the army. And they called me everything. They said I was disgraced to my country, my family, everything. They had
Goodness.
people come down there and try to tell me how to put people in the army. It just wasn't happening. And they said I couldn't go get my wife. And I was like, I'm going to go one way or the other. So what happened was one of my high school, my number one high school, the basketball coach's son was stationed at Fort Bragg. And he wanted his car there. So his dad asked me, could I drive his car there? Once they found that out, oh, I was, okay, you can go. You can go get your wife now. I'm like, isn't this something? So then I go get my wife. I come back. And it just happened. I ended up putting 6 people in that one month.
Huh.
So it just happened. So then they have another one of the meetings. I'm up there at the headquarters and stuff. Oh, and to our best recruiter, everybody should be like him, Sergeant Lloyd. I'm like, really? And my first sergeant like, stand up. I'm like, no, I'm not standing up.
It's like you bunch
You
of
know.
ass kissers.
Yeah,
One second I'm
exactly.
the worst person alive,
Exactly.
the next second I'm your hero. Come on.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
So-
When you don't put nobody in, you're nothing. But when you do, you're the greatest thing around.
My last question here, because we are coming up on time, and you absolutely do not have to answer this. This kind of applies to you as well, Tyler, being a furry in the army, but it also might not. 'Cause did anybody even know you were a furry outside
Oh, yeah.
of the other fur? They did.
Everybody knew.
So
I thought it said dress up as animals.
It's like the artwork that I do, Kenny.
yeah, it's the artwork. But so
And he just gave me a funny look going, what's the furry?
so
Don't forget, I'm old.
It's all right.
So, I'm sorry, I'm terrible. Your mom's private sergeant
Esquibel.
Esquibel. So, Esquibel, Lloyd, and Tyler, in spite of things, did you meet any form of, I guess, discrimination in
Yes.
the military?
Being a female, I was just my first duty station. I had a staff sergeant put me in a headlock and give me noogies.
Oh God.
Just because you were
Yes.
female?
I was a female, a weakling, and these are older sergeants. They've been through Vietnam and all the other wars. And females were considered the best places to be pregnant and on her back,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Tell that to
It's
the
all-
night witches.
Excuse me?
The night witches.
Yes, we were not valued. So we have to, being a female in the military, you have to work 110, 20, 30, 50% better than the worst soldier in the unit.
So, not to stop this question, just to inform you, might find this interesting or even prideful, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Tyler, you can help me on this. The Night Witches were Russian?
Russian, they were using training aircraft as bombers and
Yes,
also
they were.
reconnaissance
Mhm.
craft.
They were an all-female unit in Russia that were given the shit end of the stick. They were given the worst possible aircraft, all this other stuff, but they were so smart about how they did their bombings. They only did their bombings at night.
This was during World War II, right?
I think so. World War II, World War One.
Yes, it was World War II. It is during right before the Battle of Stalingrad, I believe, or right
Yes.
after. It's during the operations where Germany was still in Russia.
They were the 82nd Battalion.
Yes.
And what they would do when they were bombing the enemy Germans is right before they reached their destination, miles out, they would cut their engines. So they went in silent, they dropped their bombs, they got out. These women were heroes, but because of women in the military, and that's a big no-no, and Russia, they don't get a lot of historical relevance. But they were here. A lot of their bodies are still being found. There's actually one of the surviving members is going through and marking their graves right now because those are her sisters.
That's really cool.
And you see it also with the black soldiers, the ones that have what is the
Buffalo Soldiers.
Buffalo Soldiers, along with the first all black pilots. What were their names?
They were the
Muskegees.
yeah,
The Muskegees.
cheesy.
Yeah, that were never recognized for their merit and what they did for the military. So you do
Mhm.
see the discrimination there, but it's changing now that you see a lot more female
Right.
and Black, and Asian, because Asians also get any of an Asian descent because of World War II are discriminated against and not giving higher ranks and positions.
It's like how I think it was World War II where they were using I think it was either Navajo or
Yeah, the
but
Navajo
the Navajo, they were using their language to, keep the U.S. messages from being decoded by the Germans. So,
Navajo,
code messengers. Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
So, Sergeant or
Oh.
First Sergeant,
First Sergeant Lloyd,
First
Sergeant.
Sergeant Lloyd, did you
Yes.
experience any discrimination or just utter bullshit?
Yes, like when I first got to Fort McClellan, Alabama, when we were able to leave the Fort McClellan, there were certain places that they had posted that we could not go to. We couldn't go eat there. We couldn't get haircuts or anything like that.
Just because of
Yes, but because of our
Really?
skin color, we could not go there. Like we were told we could not go there, and that's what it was like that.
it,
Um,
Sheesh.
and I had go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, sheesh, it's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
what would have been the year, if you don't
I
mind?
was in 1980.
Now, and people think that essentially racism isn't recent. That's only what, 30, 40 years?
Almost 40 years ago.
42
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's recent. That's not far off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We couldn't go. They were not going to give you a haircut. They were not going to feed you. They were not going to do that. Or you cannot go to that side of the town. That's what we were told after we got out of the basic and we were able to leave. Now, while I was stationed in Germany, and I had this one lady. She was from Alabama, and she had to pass a physical fitness test. And I was her sergeant. And I was getting her ready for the test and stuff like that. And one day, her husband come up to me, and he goes, "Where I'm from, people like you can't talk to my wife like that." I started laughing. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Where are you from?" He goes, "I'm from Alabama." I was like, "Oh my God." So
You're one of those idiots. Got it.
yeah,
That's
and he-
ridiculous.
He was like that. And then we had a guy at my first duty station that was with our unit that he would say the N word a lot. And him and one of my friends got in a fight. And he goes, "I don't know why he got mad at me for saying." I said, "Don't say it." I said, "Don't say it."
Just shut your mouth right now and stop
Yeah,
talking
you're
before we
good-
all
you're
kick
good.
your ass.
Yeah, he was going to say it again. I'm like, "Oh my God, don't say it."
He gets his ass beat again. Now what'd you learn? Not a damn
Yeah.
thing.
So,
And then, so on that, I know it's not, I can't say it is, but furries get a little bit of discrimination. Tiller, did you get any form of that?
For the furry thing, absolutely not. However, I as just normal person, I've got I'm an Asian Asian Pacific Islander. I don't know what you consider a Filipino as it anymore. Everybody keeps switching what it's called, but I have a specific. You can see it on my Discord avatar.
Yeah.
I
I think it's beautiful.
It's on my actual face. I've got a section of my face that is just there is no pigmentation. Half my mustache is pure white, half
Mhm.
my eyebrow is pure white. I've got 3 or 4 different nicknames for the drill sergeants back at Fort Benning. It was great. It was Snow
Well,
White.
I
It
love
was
Fort Benning.
Hmm?
I've been at Fort Benning, airborne.
uh everybody that trains there is always infantry first
Oh,
and
yeah.
foremost.
I think they thought I was a man because they stationed me with 229 infantry
Oh, huh.
out in Sand Hill.
Oh, Sandhill.
Trial by
Ooh.
fire.
But
But
continue.
either way, my nicknames were again Snow White, Skunk,
I had
Two
a dog named
Face.
Skunk.
There was one other. That might have been just those 3 actually.
So for something you couldn't control, you
Mhm.
got made fun of essentially.
Oh yeah. That was about it though. I didn't face any other discrimination. Like that was it. You got this funky looking color of your skin on one part of your face. Ha.
It's like, thanks. Your face is ugly. Like, just come back with it. It's like, hey, your face is weird. Yeah, well, yours is ugly.
Yeah, well, you don't want to do that to a drill sergeant.
No.
So we are running up on time here. Our podcast typically only lasts about an hour. Are there anything else you guys would like to say at the end here?
I love the military. I would recommend everybody to try it and just be open-minded. It will teach you more about yourself than you would ever know. It pushes you past your limits that you put on yourself. And it helps you accomplish a lot of things, and you make friends that you will never forget and experiences. Kenny?
I would say my 20 years in the Army that I met a lot of good people, and I still know a lot of them. And I am grateful for my military service. I think the life I have now is because of that. If I didn't go in the military, I think I'd probably be in jail. And I would also say that the military is not for everybody. And if you do go in, you make the best of it and you take advantage of the military. Don't let the military take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Because there's so many opportunities there for like college and going different places and seeing the world and stuff like that. That's what I would say.
And as for me, as they said, all the benefits and everything. I intend personally to go back here in about 4 or 5 months, and
Yay.
it's a great place to not only train discipline and gain some honor. It's, as you said, a great place to learn new skills, get great new friends, go places that you would never have gone before, that you would never have gone as a civilian.
To boldly go where no one's gone before.
Hey, can I speaking of that, this is what I want you to look up. There's this island I went to. It was 800 miles from Hawaii called Johnson Atoll. It was
Oh,
2 feet above sea level. Now you look at the pictures. It'll show you pictures of what the island looked like when I was there, when they had the buildings. And now if you look at, they'll show pictures now when everything on the island is destroyed. It's just a runway left. And the runway was about 2 miles long, so only certain planes could land on that island.
Let's see.
And you look it up, Johnson Atoll.
Yeah, she's getting it now.
Yeah.
It's a rather small image. Can we get?
Let's
wasn't
see.
that the atoll that they tested A-bombs on?
Yes, and what happened was in the 60s, they shot a rocket up, it went down and exploded on the island. So when you go on the island, they take your blood when you get there and when you leave. You can't like lay in the sand or anything like that. You can't drink the water. Everything's bottled water. So when we play sports like baseball, softball,
Now, there we go.
when you play softball, you couldn't slide. You had to overrun all the bases. You could not supposed to lay in the ground and stuff like that.
Just because of how like radioactive the ground would have been.
Yes, and then on the runway, had the island split the island in half. We lived on one side and they had a chemical plant on the other side that destroyed all the mustard gas in the Pacific.
So if this is showing up on May's shared screen thing right now, is that red square where the chemical plant would have been?
Hang on.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's the chemical plant.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
So where would you have been playing? I don't see anywhere on here you could have played like baseball or anything like that. Like,
Probably, yeah.
Yes, if you have to look at the other end by the island. Oh God, you can hardly see anything now. Yeah, there was a softball field. They even had a 3-par golf course. You would hit one way, then you hit the other way, then you hit backwards and like that for 8 holes. It was more like playing putt golf there too. And if you see the pictures of it too, they had an outdoor movie theater which you couldn't beat. And we used to have to bring our lawn chairs out there and watch the movies and stuff there. They had up-to-date movies while we were there.
That's really cool.
That's neat.
And then after 6 months you were on the island, they pretty much kick you off the island before you can go anywhere in the world. They would pay for your ticket to get you off the island.
Huh.
Just to get you out of there.
Yeah, they didn't want you to stay there too long. So like it was a year tour, but on 6 months they would send you off the island. They tell you can go anywhere you want to go, and they would pay for it.
Huh.
So his children are mutants.
Yeah.
They are extremely tall. I mean, they're like over 6 feet. So maybe that helped add it to that.
Right. Oh, goodness. Well, Sergeant Esquibel, First Sergeant Lloyd, thank you so much for being on here. Tyler, again, thank you for joining us on the podcast. We really appreciate that. To
Thank
all
you
of
for
our
your
military,
service.
oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for your service. For those who are currently serving or are out of service, again, thank you so much for putting your lives in the line. Like it's greatly appreciated. You are loved, and you know the sacrifices you made for yourself and your family doesn't go unnoticed. Um, so make sure to go ahead and please just follow us on all of our social medias. You have us on Facebook. We now have a Patreon under Wolfcast Podcast. We do have merch going through our podcast, through our Patreon through there. We also do sell other various things. Just hit us at our email at wolfcastpodcast 2021 at yahoo.com. We can get shirts, mugs, paper pads, stuff like that made up for you. So again, thank you again for being on the podcast and joining us. It's been an awesome pleasure having you here with us and talking with us about your experiences. So until next time, we will see you guys all in the next podcast. So bye.
Bye.
Later.